Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to join you today. I have a guest, Princella, here with me. We actually got connected, I want to say it was last week, right, Princella? We were
Might
doing,
have to go. Yeah.
yeah, we
Time is
were,
just rolling, isn't it?
yes, it goes by really quick when you don't get out much, right? You're always on this virtual
Yes.
situation here. Yeah. So we actually got connected last week, did a call that turned out to be a podcast. We'll get into that later on about the synergy connection and, connecting with like-minded people. But today we are here to talk about a launch that she's doing and, just add value to the community. So at this time, I'm going to give Princella the opportunity to introduce herself before we get into the interview.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. I'm excited. You're so right. That synergy that we had, and we will talk about that later, but it was so fun. And I'm like, wait a second. This has to be a podcast episode. I will go further. But I'm like, wait a minute. This is too good, Michelle.
Right.
But my name is Princella Stringer, and I'm an empowerment coach for female entrepreneurs. And like many coaches, my journey started with my own journey and struggles in starting a business. And I think the main thing that merged out of that was that I had this passion and fire in me that I really wanted to start a business. I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. But something in me said, this is the thing to do. I'm a believer, and I'm a Christian. I was a late bloomer in my Christian life,
Yeah.
and so for me, like 5 years before that, I was on fire for, oh my gosh, God has a purpose for my life. I'm here for more than what I think I am, and it's bigger than I can imagine. And so once I connected the dots with my thoughts and ideas were planted in me for a greater purpose, all of a sudden, just this fire just fueled up to do this. There were times I wanted to throw my laptop out the window.
You mean you've gotten over that? Hey, there are times I still want to do that.
Right. I know, right. That's a good point. There are times that you still go there. But I thought, gosh, if I'm being put in this position to create and to do something that I really feel so incapable of doing, but I know it's what I need to be doing, there's something more here. And so that's what grew into becoming a life coach, hashtag slash business coach. I love to stay in the empowerment space, though, just empowering people in life and in business, but it really has formed into helping women along their journey of starting their business in the topics and the teachings that they feel passionate about. They know that they're meant to share that message for.
I love that. And, empowerment is a term that a lot of us are familiar with. But, explain to the audience, what gets somebody empowered, because we hear that term and it sounds good. But for many people who are in that space of, holding on to whatever, talk to them about some of the things they might have to let go in order to get that empowerment that they might be looking for.
Yeah. That is a beautiful question. I don't think I've had anybody ask me that. And I think the beauty in recognizing your self-empowerment. Now I say self-empowerment only because, as I mentioned a moment ago, I am Christian, but we have to make the decision to follow the inkling. And I think that's where the answer really comes into what is empowerment, because we have a nugget of information that's passed to us, a feeling, a gut reaction, a interest. It's just what's that at first? And then you follow that. You do something with that information that was given to you. And then that's when it starts igniting what can transcend into empowerment. And so empowerment means that you're using your gifting and your talents and your interests for something bigger than yourself. So in the beginning, you're like, you think you want to paint because it brings you joy,
Right.
as an example. But then you realize that you want to teach others how to create. You want to teach others maybe how to feel blissful when they're painting. You recognize that it's brought you so much peace, and that if I didn't have this, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And so you realize that there is a greater good and a greater purpose for the knowledge that you have. But then we're like, but who am I? I'm not a teacher. I don't know very many people. Who's going to see me as an authority? And then stepping into that without those questions, without those judgments anymore. And that takes work.
Mm-hmm.
This is why coaches have become a big thing now, because that transition to stepping in is a big deal, and it
Yeah.
takes work. And so that work we can step into on our own, but we all need we need some more nudging in there to really allow it to bloom.
Right. Now you brought up some great points. So you brought up the whole thing of you like to paint, but then you're not a teacher, but you want to help others. And I think that's a good thing to kind of stop here and talk about, because as you pursue the things that you're passionate about, it gives you the opportunity to be on different platforms and do different things. You look up and you're like, oh, I just really like managing my money. And before you know it, people are saying, oh, can you speak to our women's group about this? And you're like, I don't even know what to say. I'm not a speaker. So we get kind of sidetracked to what the definition of a speaker is, instead of being able to fully walk into who we are and saying, oh, okay, well, instead of just speaking to Princella, now Princella is going to bring a couple of friends along. So the same thing I would tell her, just us individually, I'm now telling more than one person. It doesn't register that way. We begin to get nervous. I'm not a speaker. Then you feel like you need a book and all these other things. So how do you advise people? Because even now people are going into different fields, reinventing themselves, because they, in some cases, are forced to. So they have to move out of this comfort zone of this being a hobby, but now being a business. So what advice would you give them about all these things that they're seeing as obstacles, and looking at it in a way to where they can embrace it and move forward? Does that question make sense?
It does. It does. And so I think that one of the most important things is one thing that you just said, which is that when we focus on the wrong thing in that, we get sidetracked. So first we have to acknowledge that it doesn't mean that anything went wrong because you don't have full clarity on what the ask is. Someone says, we'll hold on to that example that you gave of asking you to speak on it, and you're like, whoa, I'm not a speaker. But when we do focus on what we do know and what we are passionate about, it becomes fluidless, or no, wait, is that the right word? Fluidless.
Or in flow, right?
Yes, it becomes in flow and you're doing your thing. So I remember, I'll use myself as an example here. I wanted to push my boundaries in what I thought I was capable of doing. And so a couple years ago, I decided to do a couple of events. And I had it in my mind, I am not a speaker. I just want to love on women that want to learn more about how to utilize their passions in life. But I knew with everything in me that I had to practice that. I had to get out of my comfort zone. Not everybody can do that on their own, but I did. I don't know. And this is where I say, this is where faith really comes in, and the power of God moving in your life, and impacting you in that way of something that feels so passionate and driven. Paying attention to that, I think, is the key thing. No matter what your belief system is, you have nudgings and interests and ideas that will come to you that you shove down. But once you allow them to come out, you find your groove, you find your flow, you get into your comfort zone. So back to the original question, if we release that that unknown territory and just focus on what you do know, the next step and the next step will come much, much easier. And so for me, for instance, I kept saying, I'm not a speaker, even though I'm acting and doing, I'm not an event planner, even though I was acting and doing, because of the greater purpose that I knew I had of just loving on women in the space that they were in, and being able to allow their gifting to really bloom, you know? And so I had that other intention in mind, and that was the focus. And so I'm walking up and I'm starting to, like, my body's starting to freak out a little bit. I walk up, I froze, I blinked, I did, and I'm standing there, and all of a sudden my brain's like, hello, Princella, wake up. And then as soon as I started speaking, then it started flowing. Then the whole conversation was easier because I had to practice moving myself out of that fear space zone. And each time I did that, it got easier and easier. And now I can get up in front of people and talk to people because I worked that muscle, so to speak, for lack of a better word, on how to get my brain over the hump of thinking I can't, and then allowing myself to step into the zone that I can and that I can flourish in. And that's the same for everybody. And that getting over that fear hump is hard. That is hard. But once you do it, it's like, oh, okay, I can do this. And you're telling your brain, oh, I can do that again. And each time, next thing you know, you're not even stuck in it anymore.
I love that. Now, so for people who are, really finding, so you have these inklings, it's the things you're interested in or passionate about. People have been in a space a lot of times where we've had these distractions. We've had, you're working, you've got your kids, you're doing all these different things. And so now that we're in the space to slow down, a lot of distractions have been eliminated. What advice would you give people to know their true voice or things that they are passionate about? Because I know in my case, in dealing with depression for 13 years, I really didn't recognize that voice.
Yeah.
I had buried it so deep and covered it up that it's like, I just didn't even know who I was. So for somebody who is, it may not be depression, but it was, being on that hamster wheel of going to work, picking up the kids and doing this and all this, where you just haven't had that time to reflect. But now that you have it, how are you certain that what you're feeling is really, your true voice, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. So first I'll say that I think it's important to just list down, just taking a pen and paper and list down the things that you're interested in, the things you're curious about. Thinking back in childhood, what did you always want to play with and gravitate toward? These are just idea generators so that you can write down the list of all the things that pique your interest. Like today, I use that painting as an example, but my daughter's actually the little artiste in our family. And I keep wanting to take a painting class, like watercolor, acrylics, or something like that. So that's on my list, and I haven't done it yet. And that's on my list. So, and other things will be on our list that we may or may not do. But just having that list and starting from there is a great place to start. And anytime you think of something, because many times we don't, as you said, you didn't even know, right? Because you shove things down so much. But then there's also this space of that as we go through our day and go through our week, we remember something that we're interested in, want to try, and take that moment to just jot it down, collect them somewhere. This is really important. I think people dismiss it because they think if it's not top of mind and if they don't always think about it, then it must not be something to go after. But the truth is, as you pointed out, we shove it down, we suppress it, and we think it's not important. Oh, it's just a small thing I'm thinking about. That is important. It is so important. And if that's the biggest message here is paying attention to those inklings as something important. And that idea or thought brings value to your life if you allow it. So starting with that list, the next thing, and then just allow that to sit there for a moment until you're ready, because when you're ready to take the next step in one of those, you will know. So you allow that list to grow until you feel the nudging to take action. That nudging will come. You have to allow that process to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I would invite someone to think about is to think about, and this may sound a little bit off topic, but what my suggestion is that you think about, what is your natural mode of being? I like to think about this in two different ways, because I am more of an intuitive. I have to feel into anything I'm doing. I have to feel like it's the right thing for me to do. I have to recognize if it's fear or if it's just something I need to turn away from.
Mm-hmm.
If it's fear, then maybe I need to push a little bit more. But if it's something I'm saying, no, this isn't for me, then acknowledge that and just turn away. It's not for me. And that's fine. Just
Mm-hmm.
exploring it in your mind will open the doors to, is it right for me, or is it just something I'm afraid of? Right.
Mm-hmm. I love
Yeah, that was huge. It's huge to make that distinction for yourself. For me, it was huge. And for my clients, it's huge to make the distinction and make the decision, so that you're no longer sitting in wishy-washy. Oh, I don't know. I'm not
that.
sure. No, let's name that. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's either
Right.
this is not for me, or I am feeling a little fearful. Now, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
So, my second suggestion is that to just recognize your mode of being. So either you are, and the mode of being is either that you're an intuitive and you're feeling based, and you need to feel settled, feel right with your decision, and then take action. You can't sit in the feeling too long, right? You take action. Or the other mode of being is that you are more strategic and you make decisions based off of having a strategy in mind. Even if it changes a little bit, you're okay with that. But you have a formula to work with, and then you can go into it and take action, and then you can make changes with things that work and don't work. So I really believe understanding that about yourself is really important to get clarity on what the next steps would be.
I love that. And, so this brings us back to something you said earlier about, recognizing your daughter being an artist and, signing up for watercolors or some kind of painting class. And I think this is important because sometimes as parents, we think, oh, you know what, the kids are here. Let's have a picnic or whatever. You're coming up with these things to do from off of Google, and not really noticing or allowing the children to lead us in things that are going to interest them and be impactful and create a memory. So talk to some parents out here who are like, okay, my kids are with me. How do I connect with them more so than, looking on what are these coaches doing? What are they telling me? Instead of, taking the information that's right in front of them that they could use for their benefit. Does that question make sense?
Totally. And as a mom of 15, you have to stretch yourself in all different areas and try to figure that out. But my answer is like the simplest thing is to allow them the space to recognize what they really enjoy doing. I have a small story. Well, first I want to talk about my son real quick. My son and I, when he has the thought that he just wants to come and share something with me, he's a processor and a talker, and he likes to share what's on his mind. So for us, that makes us feel tight, because when he comes in my office and he wants to talk, I drop everything, unless I'm on a live, right? Or unless I'm with a client. I'll say, give me just a minute, and then I'll go back to him, guaranteed. But if he comes in here, I just drop everything and we have that moment to chat about whatever is on his mind. It could be from politics to finance to the women's movement to, just everything. And sometimes say, honey, I got to Google that one. Give me just a second. And then we'll do it. So for him, it's that. For my daughter, it's sharing the art. We like to watch shows, so we fill out, well, what do you feel like watching? A love story or comedy or a horror movie? You know what I mean? So really tapping into, right now I only have 2 teenagers at home. So really tapping into what are they craving? What are they really wanting to do? Because they're teenagers and we have that flow of convo going here where we can just easily adapt to whatever it is that they want to do to fully express themselves. We can do that. So gone are the days of me having to Google, what am I going to do with my toddlers?
Right.
That's
Right.
always funny. But even then, you're still exploring what are
Right.
they gravitating to? What do they want to do? And just allowing that to flow. Because when we allow our children to be in their flow, we are giving them that space to really find joy. So we didn't have to try so hard to bring that joy and bring that memory to them. We're allowing them to bring out their own joy.
So true. Yeah. I mean, and I just asked that question because there's many parents who, you'll hear about the trends. Oh, TikTok is really popular right now. And you have kids in your home that you can connect with that topic about.
Yeah.
But they'll totally avoid it, talk to their, their colleagues about it, and the information is right in front of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, that's just crazy,
Yeah.
but we all do it, I'm sure, at different points in our life,
And I've got one more story for you in regards to the family and the kids. So my daughter went through this time frame where she was doing YouTube videos, and a mother of one of her friends, she came to me and she said, Princella, because Alvy was telling everybody she's going to be a YouTuber. She's gonna go out, she's gonna be a famous YouTuber, and she was very happy in that space. And honestly, I was really blown away at how she could just go on video and talk about her topics that she wanted to talk about, right? Knowing people were gonna see it. So her friend's mother comes to me and she says, Princella, are you really gonna let her be a YouTuber? And I'm like, well, what do you mean let her? This is her thing that she's interested in right now, first of all. And second of all, how many of the things that you wanted to do as a teenager are you actually really still doing?
Right.
Allow them to explore,
Right.
Do I think she's going to be 100% a YouTuber? It's not for me to say. This is her path to explore and enjoy. And so I loved sharing that with her because we can't impose what we think our children should be doing. We are not the higher power.
Right. So true. And they have their own purpose, and I'm glad you brought up the thing about YouTube, because I have a couple of, well, maybe it's like 3 or 4 of my kids that have YouTube channels. And, I'm like, power to you, if you really want one, because, you have to be consistent. You have to know what kind of information to share. And really, there's a lot of good disciplines that they have to learn if they want to be that YouTuber, right?
Yes. That's so credit. Yeah.
I just say, hey, you know what? That is awesome. And then I ask them for advice every once in a while. It's like, okay, well, I want to do this. How do I do it? So I think that is really important. But, we kind of lose sight, because a lot of times as moms, we have that desire. At least this is what happened for me. I had to be needed and included on everything in order for it to make sense to me, because I was the mom, that was my role. That was my place. And, now it's like, hey, what are the things that I could give my kids? Let them raise themselves, to some extent on certain things, because it's going to empower them to be confident to make better decisions.
Yes. I am all for that. I remember one time my daughter was spending the night by a friend's house, and she says, do you know they can't eat, not even a snack, unless their mom says they can eat? She's like, that is just so weird. I mean, there's structure. There is structure, but we have to allow our kids to have the space to make decisions. Yeah.
Right. So totally true. Yeah. Now, so tell everybody, what this launch is about. So you have a launch that's coming up on October the 12th.
October 12th. Yes.
Yeah. So tell everybody, what that is and how they can get in contact with you.
Yes, fantastic. So the first thing I would love to invite your audience to do is to, if you're on Facebook, is to look us up. Our group name is Courageous Mindful Entrepreneurs. And my partner and I, Shelby, put together a course that allows her to be in her gifting, which is content and strategy, and me to stay in my gifting of mindfulness and empowerment. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so our course combines the two, where from the beginning, mindset is, in my opinion and in her opinion, many people that learn about this space, that mindset is the most important thing to start with. So we start in this course with talking about overcoming fears and limiting beliefs. And then we go into how to create a self vision. I'm going to take a look at my notes here and these points in there. And then Shelby will talk about creating content that converts into clients and money-making activities, and then building a loyal audience. And so we take both of our expertise and experiences and working with our clients. She has tried and true methods that have worked really well for her clients as well. Take both of those and merge them. I think I found that many courses, the focus is one or the other. Mm-hmm. And we really wanted this to be front and center, that mindfulness is just as important as strategy. And combining the two in your journey of building a business is vital. Mm-hmm. Because if you stay stuck in one area or the other, and I know that we chatted about this a little bit too, how we get stuck and glued to the computer and like thinking of all the things that we have to do that's technology based and social media based, but we're not taking that time to be mindful about how we feel about that whole process and processing those feelings. And so that's what we teach, is how to do that at the same time and grow your business at the same time while you're growing your self-awareness and self-empowerment to stay strong and mindful of the space that you're in as you're creating.
I love that, and it's really just a testament to having the true fundamentals, of business, because those are those key areas that can really give you that strong foundation to have that confidence to be like, okay, I can do this, I can do that, because it's a matter of, really paving the way for yourself where you feel comfortable walking forward. If you're feeling like you're in quicksand all the way around, you're not going to be confident to make, sometimes the simplest of decisions, right? When it comes to moving forward in your business and, professional.
That's a great analogy. You feel like you're in quicksand all the way, because you really do. You're like, right. So I call it, rabbit hole sometimes, that you're just like, oh, dig me out.
Right. Or is this going to be right? It's like, you get in that paralysis because it's like, if I move here, this is not going to be good and that. Mm-hmm. And so then you just stay stuck. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, how,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, how does everybody follow you? So you said you guys have your group on Facebook. And so what is some of the things that you guys do regularly through that group, that can help people?
So in that group, we do have, we kind of died off on the weekly training. I was about to say weekly training, but we're not having this week because of our launch. But we have multiple trainings each week on different strategies that we talk about in the group, different mindfulness activities that we talk about. In the course that we talk about in the course. And so we stay really focused on mindfulness techniques and content building and strategy for business. And so we do those trainings. As a matter of fact, we have in our unit section multiple trainings in there that people can go in and look at. Also. And also in the group, just like any other group, we really, or, not all groups do this, allow the promoting of your business, but we really want to encourage entrepreneurs to have that time and space to be able to do that. And so what we do in our group is, as long as you're providing value, like you can go into our group and do a live on top 5 ways to create a website. I don't know, that's a big topic, but and then put their link in there. As long as you're bringing value to the group, you can post your links and such. And then we have just days to really interact and engage with each other. And we encourage 1000% to post the questions in there so that you can get feedback from everybody else. And we encourage testing the waters through our group, to have a small space that you can test the waters and put something out there and say, hey, give me some feedback. How does this look? And any tips or advice to me? Would this attract you? Would this make you want to click it? Things of that nature. So we encourage people to do that in the group. Right now, we're big time talking about our program that's coming up, mindful money making program. And with this, as I said, there's mindfulness and strategy in that. And in the course, what we will be doing is, if you're not on Facebook, we will have this course separately online so that you can access the course. So if you're not on Facebook, you can just email me at princella@pslimitlesswoman.com.
Okay.
And I can post that somewhere also. But if you reach me that way, I can send you the link to access the course. Now, here's the fun part. This course is a 4-week course where we'll do trainings every week, but we'll also have Q&A. This course is a founding members course. So this is our first course together, Shelby and I. So we thought we're going to go out with a bang and just have something that's very affordable and like an easy buy-in, which it's only $97 for a 4-week course. And then you have lifetime access for all the updates and anything that happens in that course. And you also, with signing up, you get a free strategy call with Shelby and I. If you register before our official launch of October 12th, you get one strategy call with hour-long strategy call one-on-one with Shelby, and one mindset call with myself for 1 full hour, in addition to the weekly Q&As and the training that happens for the next 4 weeks.
Love that. That's good. Well, you guys heard it here. You need to jump on that really quickly, because it is about mindset and money, having that thing in balance, because, just like different things that we hear now, we could be having a good conversation, but if you're not implementing it, it's not going to do you any good. So you have to be willing to that. This is why these strategy calls are so important, because you have to be able to know that you need to do something different, because what you've been doing is not working. Right. So it's insane to keep doing it. So you want to do something new, but you don't know how. So this is why you need strategy sessions, so you can figure that out. So that is some great, great advice. And this is a great community for you to do that with. So what would be a final takeaway that you would like to share with the audience today?
I love the whole thread, the whole theme in our conversation today of really listening to the inklings that come to mind to you, and paying attention to that. So I think that as I said earlier, we dismiss those feelings as unimportant. But that's where we can start to really begin to feel empowered with our thoughts and feelings. Everything that we do comes from an initial thought or a moment of inspiration. The biggest creators of the world that have made huge impacts in the world. Now, you don't have to want to impact world poverty to make a difference in someone's life or in your own life, or even if it's just your own immediate circle of family, you want to make an impact in what happens in your family dynamic. However great or intimate your mission or goal is, paying attention to those little inklings that come to you are where it's at, and they're important, and you are so important. Your thoughts and what you crave in your life, crave more of in your life, is important. And we can only hardly imagine what impact that small interest would be for your immediate family, or a larger impact that you want to make. So I want to invite you to pay attention to that. As a matter of fact, I would love for you to reach out to me in an email and tell me what are the things that you do have an interest in, that you've been afraid to take that thought further in. I'd love to just have a little chat with you about that.
Love that. And so here we are, guys. We're back to putting the ball in your court, so to speak. So take action. There are so many different ideas that never get executed because we have that idea. We just, forget about it. Don't write it down. It comes back every once in a while.
Yeah.
But, begin to think about it. We've got some time on our hands. And many of us, even right now, as we're approaching the end of the year, we're like, oh, I just want 2021 to be better. But what are you doing about that? What action are you taking? What plans are you going to be implementing? So I challenge you.
High five. Yes. What are you doing about that?
Right? Okay. What are you doing about that today? So I encourage you to reach out to Princella and get on that strategy call, because it's all about really stop talking and start doing, So I wasn't meaning to beat anybody up by that. So I hope it didn't sound too harsh, but I just feel like we get in our own way. I was coaching somebody last night and it's like, you're waiting for that, knight in shining armor, that wonder person to come and rescue you, but you have all the tools. You're just not using them in the right way.
Yeah.
And it's really nobody stopping you but yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I have a feeling that your audience will only receive that in love. Sometimes we have to be direct about that, but I have a feeling your audience receives that in love from you.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you guys for watching this morning. This has just really been fun. And if you guys have any comments, feel free to put them in the comments section below. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to Princella. We've got her email address going across the screen. So feel free to reach out to her. She is on Facebook and other social media platforms, so you can look her up and reach out to her. But until next time, we want to thank you guys for watching. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Yes, thanks for being here. And thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Everybody take care.